he's showing you that he's that once in a generation player. This is the Luka that every year we believe has a chance at the MVP, and that's what makes Luka so special. I was in Houston last night. Denver, they beat. They go and win 2 games in Houston. I thought this was a throwaway game. I was like, there's no way. All of these guys show up at 5 in the morning and they gut out a victory because of a majestic performance by Luka Doncic.
12 wins from their last 13 games, including their current 9-game winning streak.
3 wins and 2 ties. Marcus Smart looking. Kennard to win the game. Yes! Yes! Yes!
And look, I get it. Last year, the Lakers did the same thing. Got hot leading into the playoffs, then got crushed by Minnesota in the first round. But this time feels a little different, and I don't say that lightly, because I've been one of the more skeptical people about this Lakers team all season long. I've made videos questioning their chemistry, questioning whether LeBron in the starting 5 is really the best thing for the Lakers. So when I tell you this team has genuinely changed, I need you to understand that's not me hopping on a bandwagon or saying the Lakers are going to be champions. That's me looking at the evidence and being honest about what I'm seeing. Because maybe there's a little more to this Lakers team than I previously thought. What I want to talk about today is how it happened. Because when you dig into the last 13 games, 3 things stand out that go way beyond just the ball is going in. There's a role sacrifice at the top of the roster that almost never happens with players at this level. There's a defensive transformation that nobody is giving enough credit for. And then there's Luka doing things we're going to be talking about for a long time. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why this version of the Lakers is structurally different from every version that came before it. Not so much different on paper, but different in the ways that actually matter when it gets to May and June. So let's get into it. To understand what's happening right now, you have to go back to February 22nd. The Lakers just got blown out by the Celtics, 111-89, and it wasn't close. And after the game, Luka sits in front of the cameras and says, "I think you see, we're not there yet. Like I said, we're working on it, but there should be big potential about us 3 playing together." That quote got framed as a bad sign at the time. And honestly, fair enough. It sounds like a guy trying to stay positive after an embarrassing loss. But what was actually going on inside that locker room over the following weeks turned out to be way more significant than any of us realized. Because the core problem with this team all season wasn't talent. They had the talent. The problem was that nobody had committed to a clear hierarchy. LeBron, Luka, Reaves, all 3 of them are capable of running an offense. All 3 of them need the ball to be at their best. And for most of the season, they were essentially taking turns without any real structure around it. Luka would defer in moments he should have been dominating. LeBron would push the pace and eat possessions that Luka needed to get into rhythm. Against elite defenses, that kind of ambiguity gets you killed. Before the All-Star break, this team ranked 23rd in the league in defensive rating, giving up 116.6 points per 100 possessions.
But I will say one thing. Look at Luka right here. It's okay, Luka, to move your feet a little bit over and help out.
Their record against teams over 500 was 12-17. They had problems on both ends, a team without an identity. And then LeBron got hurt and missed 3 games in early March, and the Lakers went 3-0. And I'll be straight with you here. I made a video leading into the Lakers are better without LeBron narrative, and I think there was something real in what I was seeing, but I framed it wrong. Because the Lakers aren't better without LeBron, they're better without the role LeBron had been playing. High usage, heavy ball handling load, half-court creator. That version of him was creating a logjam in a system that already had Luka as its best offensive engine. When he came back against the Bulls, something had shifted. He wasn't trying to force the issue. He was running the pick and roll as the screener, rolling to the basket, popping to the corner, not the ball handler. He was getting his looks in transition off Luka's gravity. He was making skip passes from the dunker spot when defenses tilted. The job description changed completely. And what he's done in that new role has been quietly incredible. Over his last 6 games, LeBron is averaging 19 points per game on 65% true shooting. Against the Rockets, he shot 13 of 14 from the field, and less than 24 hours later, on the second night of a back-to-back against Miami, he put up a triple-double, 19 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. Every single assist in that game came from him making a read off a drive or a skip pass. He's internalized a specific role and he's executing it at an insanely high level. And then in Orlando, he became the NBA's all-time leader in regular season games played, 1,612 and counting, surpassing Robert Parrish outright. At 41 years old, playing a completely different role than he's ever played in his career. He addressed the better without him narrative directly after the Heat game. He said it sells papers a lot easier, and he's not wrong. But having watched what he's done since returning, the honest take is that he's changed his approach in a way that stars almost never do. The all-time leading scorer in NBA history agreed to be the third option, and then actually went out and became one of the best third options in the league. That's the part that matters. Sacrifice is easy to talk about. Almost nobody actually does it, but LeBron did. And that's reason number one why this is not the same Lakers team. Now, a quick question. If I asked you right now who the most important player has been on this Lakers run, what would you say? Luka, obviously, maybe Reaves. That's what most people will say. But not enough people are saying Marcus Smart, and that's the problem. Because Smart is the reason this thing actually works. He plays hard every night, and finally the rest of the team is buying in on the defensive end.
As Gordon comes up with it, Smart with the steal. Marcus Smart goes inside, lays it up and in, and the Lakers regain the lead.
The offense was fine, stars get buckets, but every time they needed a stop in a close game, they couldn't get one. 23rd in defensive rating. Now let me put that into perspective. There were teams tanking who were defending better than the Lakers in January. Now Smart is 6'3", and most nights he's guarding the other team's best perimeter player. He gets in their jersey, makes every catch uncomfortable, and basically just makes their life miserable for 48 minutes. The box scores don't do justice. Anthony Edwards against the Timberwolves, 14 points on 2 of 15 shooting. That's the most inefficient game of his career in any game where he took more than 11 shots. Jamal Murray in Denver, 1 of 14 from the field. Kevin Durant held to 18 in back-to-back matchups against LA. Smart is the common thread in all of it. He's averaging 2 steals per game during this stretch, and the Lakers have a 111.7 defensive rating with him on the court, which is top 5 in the league. The moment that defined what he means to this team came in an overtime win against Denver. Earlier in the year, the Nuggets had beaten the Lakers in a game where Smart missed a late shot that would have won it. This time, he finished with 21 points, 5 steals, and a team-high plus 16, including a clutch three-pointer to put the Lakers back up by 2 with 30 seconds remaining in overtime. And what he said after told you everything. He told ESPN, "We're tired of hearing people talk shit, basically. I know I am. So you want to try and prove them wrong." And the defensive numbers back it up. Since the All-Star break, the Lakers have climbed from 23rd to 12th in defensive rating since the break, now holding opponents to 113 points per 100 possessions. That's a massive swing in a short window. That's a defensive identity forming around one guy setting the standard every night. And the shooting has followed. Earlier in the year, the Lakers would generate a good look off a drive and kick and come away empty far too often. With Smart, Reaves, Kennard, and LeBron all moving efficiently off the ball and converting catch-and-shoot threes, they've become a top 5 three-point shooting team by percentage since the break. Stops lead to transition, transition leads to open looks go in. Once that cycle starts clicking, it's hard to stop. And that's reason 2 why this is not the same Lakers team. And while we're handing out credit, we need to talk about JJ Redick for a second. This is a man in just his second year as an NBA head coach. He came in as a podcaster and analyst, and the prevailing take around the league was that the Lakers had handed the keys to someone completely unqualified for the job. And what has he done in year 2? He's managed to give this Lakers squad some kind of defensive identity. He's had the conversation with LeBron James about becoming the third option and got LeBron to actually buy in, and built an offensive hierarchy around Luka when most coaches would have been too intimidated by the personalities in that locker room to enforce one. And that's not easy stuff. Plenty of experienced coaches have had the right idea about how a roster should operate and couldn't get their best players to listen. Redick got 3 stars to sacrifice and built a team identity out of a group that had none as recently as 6 weeks ago. And not many are giving him nearly enough credit for what this team has become. Okay, the sacrifice is real, the defense looks good enough, Now let's talk about what all of that structure has actually unlocked. During this 9-game win streak, Luka Doncic has been averaging 40 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game, shooting 50% from the field and 40% from 3 on nearly 15 attempts per night. The Lakers are outscoring opponents by 14 points per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. And the game log goes: 60 against Miami, 51 against Chicago, 44 against Indiana, 40 against Houston, 36 in the second Houston game 2 nights later, 35 against the Knicks, 33 against Orlando, 31 against Minnesota with 11 assists, and 30 against Denver with 13 assists. But what jumps out about that is how different each performance looks. He's dropping 60 in isolation-heavy situations and also going 30 and 13 as a facilitator. He's reading defenses and adapting to what each opponent gives him and taking what's there. A dominant basketball player operating at the peak of his powers. The Miami performance is worth sitting with, because I think a lot of people watched the highlights and assumed Luka just got hot in a shoot-around game. A comfortable win where the shots happened to fall, but here's what actually happened. The night before, he dropped 40 in Houston, the Lakers flew to Miami and landed at 5 in the morning. Less than 24 hours after the Houston game tipped off, Luka was back on the floor against the Heat, where he spent a lot of the game hunting Bam Adebayo. Bam is one of the best individual defenders in the league. He's exactly the type of player that gives offensive stars problems in playoff environments. Luka went directly at him all night, in isolation, in pick and roll, off movement, in every situation you can think of. He was generating 1.8 points per possession in direct isolation against Bam, against one of the best defenders in the league, on no sleep, on the second night of a back-to-back. The final line, 18 of 30 from the field, 9 of 17 from 3, 60 points. He's the first Laker to score 60 since Kobe Bryant's final game in 2016, and only the 7th player in franchise history to ever reach that mark. And then you add in that LeBron had a triple-double in the same game. The last time any player scored 60 and a teammate had a triple-double in the same NBA game was 1969. Wilt Chamberlain dropped 66 and Elgin Baylor had a triple-double. Then the very next game in Orlando, Luka went out and scored 33 points and the Lakers won, 105-104 on a Luke Kennard buzzer beater. And honestly, the Orlando game might tell you more about this team than the 60-point masterpiece did, because Luka was brilliant in the first half. 24 points, looked like another big night coming. And then the second half happened. He went 2 of 13 from the field, the offense stalled, and the Lakers found themselves down 5 with 50 seconds left in a road game against a solid Orlando team, and their best player suddenly couldn't buy a bucket, and they won anyway. Reaves scored 11 of his 26 points in the fourth quarter to keep them in it. Down 2 with under 5 seconds left, Banchero blocked LeBron under the rim, stopping an easy 2 points for the tie. And then, with 2.6 seconds remaining, off the inbound, Marcus Smart found Kennard wide open on the wing and he buried the game winner. That kind of win in that situation tells you something about what this group has become. The reason Luka is doing what he's doing, and the reason this team wins even when he doesn't hit shots, comes back to the same thing: structure. When LeBron is the screener and the connector, when Reaves is handling secondary ball handling duties and taking pressure off Luka in pick and roll coverage, Luka gets to be the gravitational pull. He gets to play in space, he gets to hunt the matchups he wants, because every defense in the league has to account for him first, and the ball movement from LeBron and Reaves is constantly creating the right angles for him to work. And when he has an off night, there are enough other pieces in place that the whole thing doesn't fall apart. The previous versions of this Lakers team gave Luka talent. This version gives him structure. And that's reason number 3 why this is not the same Lakers team. So here's where we are. 3rd seed in the West, 9 games in a row. The quality of opposition has been real, and the way they've been winning suggests this isn't a fluke. But here's the thing I can't stop thinking about. The Lakers face OKC twice before the playoffs to get a serious gauge on where this team is at. Comment below if you think the Lakers can win one or both of those games against the Thunder. Hit the like and hype buttons and subscribe for more videos like this one, and maybe check out one of these videos on your screen now.